We've had a few questions on how to apply acrylic without getting any bubbles inside. I'm going to show you what to do so that when you're encasing your designs or using any one of the powders, you're going to be bubble free. All right, so the first thing I want to be able to show you is the consistency you need when you're actually using something like Speed Clear. All right, so you have to have a self-leveling consistency, preferably on the wet side. All right, so if I'm doing an overlay on the natural nail, if I come in with a nice wet pearl, I want to be able to pick it up. Right? And then give this an opportunity. As you can see, when I set this down, I'm lightly going to be poking at the surface while the product is slowly self-leveling. So once it gets to this point, I'm not going to be dragging through the product. I want to be really, really light as I'm pulling through. All right? As you can see, I'm able to get a really nice coat that is bubble free. Okay, so if I had to fill this section in, I want to do the same thing. I want to be able to pick up a nice bead. I want to be able to set this down while it's wet. And then without attacking it, I want to lightly touch the surface so that the product is going to be able to level without any bubbles in the surface. All right, so this is a general idea of what you need to do, especially when it comes to the design work or anything that you're working with. Let me explain to you how it's going to work when you're actually doing a sculptured nail. All right, so I'm just going to do a very basic sculptured nail. I'm going to be using glitter to build the free edge. And then what I'm going to do is use the clear to sculpt through the whole entire surface. All right, so I have a pre-mixed glitter that I have here. Let me just go ahead and build a nice, thin, tight tip. Again, I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to tap off some of the excess liquid. I'm going to set this to the surface. All right, and then I'm going to build this into shape. What I like to do is, if I'm working with glitter, I'm just going to lightly feather this into the body so that it looks like it's a natural ombre. You can see it looks like shooting stars up into the body. And then what I can do is I can adjust the length using my brush. So once we establish the tip, what we're going to do is we're going to use our clear powder to overlay. But I want to be able to show you how to do that without any bubbles in the actual body of the acrylic when you're building the nail. So what we need to do is we have to work with the acrylic, I would say, in a wet form. Now when it's wet, you have to be able to use the tip of the brush to kind of guide it into place. Let me show you how you're going to do this. I'm going to submerge my brush. I'm going to get a nice loaded brush. I'm going to lightly tap this off. I'm going to bounce into the surface. You can see how quickly everything absorbs into the tip of the brush. It actually is moving, so you have to be quick. All right, so I'm going to submerge my brush. I'm going to lightly tap. I'm going to come in while it's wet. Now what I want to be able to do is I'm going to set this down and it's going to release off my brush fast. I'm going to lightly touch the surface. And what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to control the run with the tip of the brush. Notice that I'm not attacking the body. All I'm doing is allowing the product to move on its own. If I'm trying to get the pearl into shape, what I want to make sure it's doing is trying to get a really nice tight perimeter. And then as it starts to settle, this is where I'm going to be really light as I brush through the surface to establish a nice upper arch. And as you can see, there are no bubbles in the body. We want to be able to do the same thing on the tip. So I want to submerge my brush. I want to be able to get a really wet curl. I could wait a couple of seconds. I'm going to just lightly set this down. And then what I want to be able to do is lightly press, right? So you can see as I'm guiding everything down, all I'm doing is just gently touching the surface as the product runs down to the tip, creating the perfect overlay. We need to give this just enough time to settle, right? So that when I actually start to use the body of the brush and put this into place, creating strength, I'm going to be able to shape it without any little dots or bubbles in the surface. Let's go ahead and let this dry, file it into shape, and you're going to be able to see the true clarity of the acrylic powder.
If you liked what you just watched, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, or check out more of what we've got.